What in the heck is that?
That's my other phone. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Just don't let it happen again.
Okay.
We are good to go.
We are good to go.
Want to call the meeting to order?
All righty. Let's call this meeting to order. Are you going to do roll call?
Yep. Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Ms. Sandar,
Yes.
Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Krebs.
Yes.
All right. We have a quorum. Mr. Oster, do you want to do the?
Sure. Swearing in?
Yep.
Okay. Anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State I do. And when it's your turn to offer testimony, please state your full name, address, and affirm that you've been sworn in.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, anyone? Let's see. This is anyone who intends to offer comments or testimony through our online chat room function also needs to be sworn in remotely. Do we have anybody in chat? I'm not even looking at the chat right at the moment.
Well, technically,
I
we're
don't-
all on chat, but there's
Well,
nobody.
I think they're talking about actually using the chat function to type a message rather than a video type message.
Right.
And this goes for YouTube also because we're live streaming on YouTube. So we watch the-
Right. And I don't see anything in the chat.
Nope.
So before your initial comment, please type your name and address and the words "I affirm" to indicate you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're offering is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, let's move on to new business. Variance application VA-20-22.
All right, the first case, variance case BA-20-22. The applicant's owner is Glenn C. Grace and Jonathan Bethke. Site is 1521 Winslow Court, parcel ID number of 318-314-13015000. It's a zone single-family plan residential district. They're requesting an area variance from rezoning case 3038 Oak Creek 1 to allow for a swimming pool to encroach in the rear yard setback requirement in an area zone single-family plan residential district. The applicant, the description of the request, the subject property is located on the west side of Clarksdale Drive and the south side of Winslow Court. The site is currently owned by Glenn C. Grace and Jonathan Bethke. The applicant is seeking a 12 feet variance from the rear yard setback of 25 feet. The surrounding areas, the north, south, east, and west are all single-family plan residential districts. All uses are single-family homes. The zoomed out aerial of the site. And then you also have a zoomed in aerial of the site. View the area variance from rezoning case 3038 Oak Creek 1 development summary. Setbacks, rear yard setback is 25 feet. The swimming pool will encroach in the rear yard setback at a distance of 12 feet. A variance of 12 feet from the rear yard setback is requested. Exhibit 1 is a site plan. It's just a snip of the full plan. Shows where the pool is located with the scale. Exhibit 2 is a detailed site plan. Shows other amenities that will be there. We have site photos from Google Maps. One's from an aerial photo. The other one's from Google Maps from the street view, looking from Winslow Court. We have some other photos that were documents that were provided in the staff or in the application. This is the full size plan. Photos of the site currently and what it could look like in the future. And we did approval from the HOA was submitted with the application. And then we did receive a couple letters of support were also included in the application. Then after we received the application, we did receive an email from a resident nearby that was in support also of the application. And that is all I have for the staff report. And the applicants are on here, so if the board has questions, or if they want to give testimony, they can do that as well.
So, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes.
Okay,
You want
I'm
to state your
Jonathan.
name and address? Yeah.
sure. Jonathan Bethke, 1521 Winslow Court, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035.
I'm Glenn Grace, 1521 Winslow Court, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035.
So I think you covered it pretty well in the application. In short, we've got a small backyard, as you can see, 38 feet from the house to the rear property line. 25 feet of that is we came to understand in discussions with the zoning, with Jeff and the zoning contacts at Orange Township have the setback requirement. So it's actually 12 and a half feet. We're asking for half of that setback to be allowed as an approval for variance so that we can accommodate the pool. There's a little bit of a twist in that there's about 4 feet from the home, there's a gas line that we're also trying to accommodate for. So that's why the need for some of the variance includes that. So the pool manufacturers won't be able to put the pool there, but they'll be able to accommodate some of the mechanics, electrical, piping, things like that above or below that actual gas line that runs across the back of the home and out to the Winslow Court Street. Happy to answer any questions or provide additional information.
Did we have responses from the adjoining houses?
You do. Both of those that we adjoin property, as you're looking at that lower picture, the house that's kind of on an angle on the court to the back.
Right.
That's Dan and Amber sent a letter of approval with it. And then Timmy and his wife, which are directly south
On
of
the other
us.
side?
So,
Yeah, on the bottom of the house that you see right
Yeah.
beneath us. They approved of it as well.
Well, that's good.
And there's the homeowner association has a approval in there also.
yes.
Well, that's good. How much our season passes?
Well, there'll probably be $1 less than the township pool that never opened this summer, right?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Mr. Tripp. I just have a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. So The way I understand this is the current setback, there's already paver patio into that setback now, so that the area where the pool is going to be does not extend any further than what's currently there under a paver patio. Is that correct?
All the paver patio that's currently there is going to be removed.
But it's in the same location, right?
It is.
Okay. And did I see also that there's actual concrete that's going to extend into the easement?
The 2.5 feet would be extended into the easement, correct? Concrete and fencing.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Kelvin Trebs. Jeff, could you go back one picture there, that one? Okay. From this view, will the pool be to the left of the house or to down of the house?
To the right.
To
So
the
on the
right.
top, yeah, in the
Right.
top picture, it's to the right. In the bottom picture, it's to the left. Correct.
Yeah, I was doing the aerial view. So the pool's going to be over here on the right-hand side.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, and where's the gas line and where's the electric that you're trying to avoid?
So the gas line, all of the utilities come out of the south side of the home proper, not the great room. So at the bottom of our home, and then I can't point, but and then
Yeah.
they come around to the lower right hand corner. Most of the utilities come around to the lower right hand corner of our property. The gas line crosses right at the tip of the great room as it passes in front of the current patio and out or upwards to Winslow Court.
They actually have that on there, like a couple of pages.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we included that as a photo in one of the pages too.
Okay.
I did see a page in here that showed that
Yeah, there it is.
line.
Back up one.
Yep, there it is.
Well, okay, so if you look at there, that yellow is actually the setback mark, that line, but the gas line comes from the orange part of the home in the green on the right of the orange part of the home. Yep. And then follow it out to where the green and white, and then go 4 squares up and then go left. And it goes all the way out to the street there. Just for,
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, if it's going to the left through most of what, it's going to be a paver patio? Or is that all
Concrete.
concrete?
Yeah, it'll be
concrete,
decking, concrete decking. Which is, it goes under a paver patio today.
Yeah, there's a difference between going under a paver patio and going under concrete. What kind of a foundation? I didn't see a foundation for the concrete that's being poured. Is it just 3 inches, 4 inches of a slab? And there's no footers or anything?
No footers. I'm not sure the depth of the slab.
That would only be the thickness of the slab.
Right. That's all I
Right.
was worried about was, it's the thickness of the slab, whether it's 7 or 2.
Yeah, I didn't see that in here either.
Oh,
I was looking at the gas line thing, but the way it's outlined in here, it wasn't really clear of exactly where that was in relation to the house and all that.
And essentially,
But
it essentially crosses above where it says house, clear across to the property line, does it not? Because
Yeah.
you can't, yeah,
Yeah.
there is an outline in here of it. It just, wasn't real clear, I didn't think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, when they marked it, it appears to be within 2 to 4 feet from the home,
Yeah.
on the grass marking. And then as you follow it out across the yard towards Winslow Court, so across the back of the home over to Winslow Court, that's pretty much
There it is.
where we know that we've got at least probably 4 feet. We couldn't put anything deeper than, right.
Question for you. If you plan on taking the paver patio out and putting in a concrete patio as a replacement, and that's going to be right there where the concrete's at, I'm a little bit surprised that you're not going to, A, have footers, B, I would hope that you would have at least rebar in there to give the concrete structural integrity, because you don't want a gas line to rupture underneath concrete.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we can ask our pool company to confirm when they do that the concrete, we can put rebar in it.
Well, it would not be a quote unquote requirement, but from a safety standpoint, it would bring up all kind of red flags to me as a homeowner, not knowing that there would be rebar and or footers as large as you're wanting to put in for the gas line, and you don't want your concrete to crack, period.
Right.
That's a good point, and we'll take note of that when we complete the final design. But yes,
In that case, that's going to bring down the size more. Is it, Jerry, could you help me with that? If you add the footers, then it's going to
Well,
reduce the size.
the footers can be put as part of the concrete structure.
So that's not going to reduce the
No.
the size of the
No.
patio,
No,
whatever
not
they are
at all.
planning.
No.
It would just be around the edge of it. The outside 1 foot blocks all the way around. That would just be 3 feet or a little bit deeper and hold the thing. I'm with Jerry. Even with rebar in there, you've got a huge area. I've poured things like that, and they're going to move unless that's really
Correct.
packed.
Yeah.
Especially with expansion and contraction that you have from
Yep.
the winter.
Mhm.
And get up underneath there, it's going to freeze. When it thaws out, it's going to crack. So that's why we urge the rebar, but to prevent that but again, from a safety standpoint, and the footers from a structural standpoint, because that's what.
Yeah, but that's all his choice. I mean, because that's only going to be his problem down the road,
All right.
depending on what happens there. You know what I mean?
yeah. And to be fair, it looks very large in the map there, but it's 10 feet on either side of the pool and on all 3 sides there, right? I mean, it's large, but
Jeff,
visually it looks a lot bigger. But yeah.
With the gas line going underneath the concrete, would that not require rebar and footers?
No, I wouldn't think so. I don't know how deep that gas line is, but it should be pretty deep. And, if there's an issue with it, and I know a lot of these newer ones are actually the soft
Yeah, the flat.
poly line. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm with you, because I did a concrete patio also, and yeah, it's cracked and moved, and and I would suggest some kind of footer.
Or going with pavers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, pavers can be redone easier. Yes,
A lot less expense.
a lot less.
Because we have pavers there now, so.
Yeah, I don't know about, I guess you can attach the fence and all that to it. I don't know exactly how they do that with a paver deal.
Well, that was my next question about the fence. What style
Yeah.
of fence is it?
It's that standard type fence.
Yeah, he
Well,
listed it in there as 5 feet, which is the requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but is it solid panels?
No, it's that
No.
bar. You looking at the
Yeah.
picture of,
Mhm.
let me see here. What's
I
the,
Yeah,
guess not.
it's PVC it's vinyl semi-private. So it has airflow through the fence. It
Yeah,
allows.
it's,
There's a picture of it in there.
yeah, there's color pictures in here actually
There you go.
of,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I see it
that.
now. I missed it.
yeah.
Okay. Well, not getting too far down the weeds here. Those look like they might be 4x4 posts, which you could sink and concrete in and
Right
then carve
outside of the paver.
or even within the pavers, but you'd have to cut some pavers at that
Yeah.
point.
I could be done.
Yeah, all of that could easily be done. Now, that picture seems to indicate either an elevation change or a large mulch bed, but to me, it looks like the mulch and or stones is rising up there to have a level surface. Is there a
Is-
small?
Yeah, there's a grade there for sure.
Yeah.
You can tell it in the fence.
Yeah, and it's present already in the landscaping. It's kind of hidden in the before picture, but
I gotcha.
it is a higher elevation than the lawn.
That's not an issue. I just wanted to make sure what I was seeing.
The cover. Electric, manual, retraction.
Electric, auto cover, retraction, electric, but it'll be not just a soft cover like they do to winterize. It's going to be we want to cover it nightly for heat retention for one, that'll be heated, but also for safety more importantly.
Okay.
And the only utility that you're going to have fun with is the gas line that crosses the house and the electric goes off to the right. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the remainder, like cable and electric and sewer, is in the easement beyond even the 2 feet that we would put concrete over that portion. It's really right on the property line that we join. Or it's outside the 6-foot setback to the south of the home, which is left as you're looking at it.
Okay.
It's kind of shared between ourselves and the neighbors that we side with on the south.
So is this fence going to be aluminum or vinyl?
It's vinyl PVC.
Okay, in your thing, it says fence is 150 foot of aluminum.
And I think that might be in the pool bid.
Okay,
But
that's what I'm looking at.
Right. And we won't be using them anyway for the fence purposes because they don't do a polyvinyl.
Okay,
But we wanted to get it as part of our pricing bid anyway to compare, and we did submit to the HOA, so they approved the PVC fencing.
the white PVC rather than the black aluminum. It looked like what was in here. So are they doing the rest of it? This company, the Fun Time Pool and Spa?
That we've got 2 other bids that we're looking at, but generally it's the same design and it will be done by the same company. All
Okay.
of it, though. Yes.
Physical size will not change whatsoever.
No.
Yeah. Well, I noticed in here it said pour and form a square 3-sided staircase with broom finished treads and a stone faced riser. I didn't see where that was in the photos, but
That could be part of the pool.
No,
Oh.
it comes out of the great room in the top right picture where you see probably to the right of the great room, that's the French doors that exit to the paver patio today. You can kind of see them in the like above the fence in the bottom picture too there. So those right now have a 3-tier paver, wedding cake style paver steps that we want removed because the bricks are precarious for safety reasons as the sand and things settle, and that's where the new cement steps will be at.
Gotcha. I don't have any further questions.
I don't have any other questions, but this is Mr. Tripley. And again, as was mentioned before, not to get in the weeds too deep, but when you think about that fence, that fence is required to be a pool compliant fence with locking, self-locking gates. There's rules with regards to that fence. So I would look into that and make sure that the one that was listed by the pool company in the package appears to be a pool compliant fence.
That's what I was kind of getting at. It's the aluminum bar style fence that is usually required, but not required by us.
Right, but the county will. So there's, anyway, again, not to get too far in the weeds, but,
right.
And if you're going to connect that to the house, then any entrance into the pool from the house has to have an alarm. There's rules with regards to that for pool compliant fences, and there's lots of. That's why they make pool compliant fences. It's designed so kids can't climb up it. They have to be. So anyway, and the gates have to be self-locking, and the latch has to be 48 inches from the ground. There's all kinds of rules and regulations with that. So anyway, my point is mainly just make sure that you're in compliance with that if this goes forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually have been talking with 2 companies about that right now to make sure that does occur, and there's 2 gates proposed for it, so both would be similar code approved.
Yeah, and I can't imagine anybody going to put a pool in there or put a fence around a pool without maintaining compliance. It was just a point of order more than anything else.
I can't imagine there's a kid out there that couldn't scale the fence no matter what it is.
If they really wanted to. Absolutely right.
Footer.
Guilty.
Mr. Chairman, based on HOA approval, based on the neighbors, based on the lot structure layout, where it conforms from 86 to 61, and then you have that curve that was built in there along with the 120 versus 95 depths. I'll make a motion to approve this. VA 2022, but it must be code compliant in regards to fencing and the other code requirements.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, before we get through the motion, I have a question to clarify, because according to the plans on this plan here, for zoning purposes, for permitting purposes, we go to the pool. We don't necessarily go with that concrete skirt around it. So according to this, it's 13 feet from your property line. And then you mentioned 12 and a half feet variance, but based on the drawing, you're 6 inches. So you're 13 feet from the property line. So it's only a 12-foot variance. And then I know you said you had a couple other pool companies looking. So we want to make sure, because if they come in and it's 12 and a half feet from the property line, then it would not be approved. It'd have to be the 13 feet from the property line. So I'm trying to confirm exactly what the request is.
Well, it's the same request for the 2 other companies. I mean, the pool size was only one of the company where the pool length would change, not the width.
Yeah, but if you got, if you move your outer patio around it, because from what I can see, the dark line is off to the edge of the pool. And I cannot 100% be positive that that 12.5 foot is edge to edge as far as the dark blue line or the black line. So I just want to make sure that's clear as well. I'll make a motion based on the 12.5 foot minimum. So I'll modify or amend my motion to approve.
And
So
that's
just
as
for
written. That's as
Well,
in
just
the,
for clarification, if I could ask then, so you're saying the approval would be for the pool, the edge of the pool would be 12.5 feet from the rear property line?
Correct. Based
Yeah,
on,
that's what
Yeah.
we're asking for.
That's what we're asking for.
Regardless of pool company, that wouldn't change. So we're in
Well-
line with that.
Yeah, because I think what they're saying is your graph paper layout looks like it's at 13,
right.
not 12.5.
Correct.
So if you approve a 12.5 rather than a 12, then he's just going to have a little bit of leeway there.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure he's at where he thinks he's going to be or needs to be,
Got
however
it.
you want to say that.
We appreciate that.
Thank
That
you.
works.
Yeah, because it actually looks like that pool is at 13. And it just could be the way it's drawn out.
My motion is based on the 12.5 foot that is recorded on the plot plan.
Then we'll need a second for that motion since that was amended.
and I'll second that for the 12.5 as written there.
Motion made by Mr. Miller to approve variance case VA-20-22 with the 12.5 foot variance. Seconded by Mr. Shipley. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Krebs,
Yes.
Ms. Sandar.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, sir, one thing, just as a reminder and as a follow-up, and this is not changing my vote or anything like that or request. I do urge you to do a little more research in regards to the safety standpoint for your gas line. If you are going to indeed put concrete in, just to be safe.
We will, and we appreciate that. We will definitely include it in our next discussion with our developers, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
you might pick their brains for if you had trouble down the road, or, you know, if anybody had trouble down the road and they had to, you know, repair that line or take that line out and redo it or whatever.
Right.
You know, I know from looking at a lot of stuff up here in Lewis Center now, they've got these machines that actually like drill it through the ground.
Right.
How that exactly works, I kind of like to see that done, and you know, and how they get it to come back up out of the ground, but seems pretty interesting. But you know, just for your own knowledge. And
The other thing in regards to the rebar and so on, you don't want 2 years from now, 5 years from now, have massive cracks in your concrete because there was no rebar in there.
That's
and then-
great
Yeah.
information. Thank you.
yeah, like my patio. Well, I mean, they put control cracks in there, supposedly, so, you know, certain size slabs can break and everything. And then, of course, you've got the job of keeping them sealed so they don't move even more. But, you know, one thing is guaranteed, concrete is going to crack.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of how much you try to prevent it from moving, which I think is what footers kind of do. And of course, rebar inside the concrete slab itself, or mesh. A lot of people will put mesh in there, and you know, but I kind of think the footer all the way around the edge, kind of tying it into a square, helps too.
Think of all the cracks that you see in driveways.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So
Very true.
without,
absolutely.
so Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to drop. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, it looks like we are going to move on to the next case, which is 20-23.
Yep.
VA-20-23.
Yep. Next case is variance case VA-20-23. The applicant owner is Nicholas and Michelle Gallagher. The site is 5710 Delano Avenue. Parcel ID of 318-210-15-001-000. It's zone single family plan residential district. And just realized the request is wrong on the staff report. They're asking for an area variance from rezoning case 19680 Meadows at Lewis Center to allow for a grill/bar and pavilion to encroach in the rear yard setback in an area zone single family plan residential district. The subject property is located on the west side of Delano Avenue and the north side of Coaster Trace. The site is currently owned by Nicholas and Michelle Gallagher. The applicant is seeking a 19 feet and 8 1/8 inch variance from the rear yard setback of 35 feet. The surrounding areas are all zone single family plan residential. North, south, and east have single family homes, and to the west is HOA open space. You have a zoomed out aerial of the location, and you also have a zoomed in aerial of the location. For the staff review, area variance from rezoning case 19680 Meadows at Lewis Center, development summary, setbacks, rear yard setbacks 35 feet. The fireplace and pavilion will encroach on the rear yard setback at 19 feet and 1/8 inch, 19 feet and 8 1/8 inch. So variance of that amount is requested. Exhibit 1 is the site plan that shows the location of the house and the proposed location of where the fireplace and pavilion will be. Exhibit 2 is a zoomed in of the site plan that shows the distances measured. The 14 feet and 3/8 inches is not considered here, as that is has no footers, and based on our zoning code, it is not considered a structure. And that patio is replacing the old concrete patio that you can see underneath it, and it's going to be a paver patio, so that would not be considered a structure. So we go off of the 15 feet 3 7/8 inch setback for where the fireplace will have footers and a pavilion will be located. And then you also have another exhibit with 3D image showing what is proposed to look like. We have site photos of the location. One's the aerial view, one's the street view, looking from Coaster Trace to the north. We have some other full-size plans that were submitted with the application. Let's scale it down for the staff report. And that is all I have for this one. The owners are on the call, and then their landscaper, their contractor is also on the call. Not sure if they both will speak or if just one of them will, but they are on here if they wish to speak or if you guys have questions for them.
I think if there's any general questions about the house, we can certainly answer those, but anything technical, we would probably want to around the zoning or how it will be affected, we probably want to defer to Jacob, who was able to take time and join us today.
Yeah, we'll just need your name and address just for the record.
Sorry, my name is Nicholas Gallagher, and my address is 5710 Delano Avenue, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035.
And affirm you were sworn in.
I do affirm that, yes.
Jacob Basnet, owner Landscape Design Solutions. My address is 8036 Suite C, Corporate Boulevard, Plain City, Ohio. And I do affirm that I was sworn in.
Thank you.
Jeff, I do have a question. Were you able to provide the other 3D images showing from multiple angles exactly how the project, I'm not seeing those in there. We had submitted quite a few 3D images of pretty close to what this project will look like. The anticipated patio surface is probably going to be a natural stone, pattern cut flagstone, dry laid, just like you would any concrete paver. I was just curious if you were able to include those. I think there was quite a few other documents I had submitted to you for the board.
Yeah, they were provided as part of the application.
Oh, okay.
To the board members in their packets.
Okay.
We have them in our package.
I just wasn't seeing it. That's all. I just was curious. That's.
Yeah, we provided in the packets, and then the staff report just kind of is a short snippet of it.
Okay.
We'll have the packet, so that they should have all the documents that were provided.
Yeah, I believe they're labeled Gallagher. Is it Gallagher?
Gallagher.
Gallagher 3D images.
Okay, I have a couple of questions on the exhibit 2 that was provided with the zoomed in site plan. You have what appears to be footers at the at four different areas. 2 of them one on each side of the fireplace outward, and then 1 on each side of the other area. If you're going to be putting pavers in there, are you not going to have a concrete base underneath the fireplace for its weight?
Are you talking about the columns that are on the seat wall? I see a hand moving on those.
Mhm.
Those are columns, and typically we do not require. You're not required to put a footer underneath that. It's just like building. Everything, including the grill and bar, would be dry laid. You're looking at, it's not a cinder block material. I had advised the Gallaghers that the only footers that would have to build for this, and I included in the detail packet, would be on the fireplace. The fireplace would have a footer for that, and what that requires, we're using a manufacturer called Round Grove, and Round Grove builds a steel framed with concrete concrete board that goes around, and you can veneer and
Right.
they'll do whatever you need with it. Typical fireplaces weigh about 1,000 pounds, and then you do your veneering, but we still put a concrete footer underneath there. Now, the concrete footers that we have, we then do a pylon down to the ground, typically 4 to 6 of them, depending on the length of it, down to the frost line. So the footer looks more like almost like a table effect. And I did include that in my packet on there. That's been a standard for building these fireplaces, these modular, if you want to call them that, where you've got quite a few different brands, Fire Rock, Round Grove. Basically, they get stacked up, or if it's a prefab unit, and you basically place them right on top of that. But that keeps the stability of it moving at all. And then the pavilion would have a a footer for those, and that is called out on detailed drawings. I provided that as well.
Okay, my reason for bringing it up is in the 3D images that you provided, there's a statement, no footer is required, and the block are built on top of the same gravel base as the patio. And I'm
Yes, sir.
just, from a stability standpoint and a cracking standpoint and so on,
So in
I-
other words, these kind of have like a post hole footer, kind of like a wood deck would have. Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
You can, there is, so if you were to look at Unilock Incorporated or Oberfields, there's different, or ICPI, when you're building with, say, for example, say Unilock's Brussels dimensional stone, you're building with, those are those 4x8x12s. We'll just use that as an example. It is for over 20 years now, you have some guys who can put footers in. They might add that in for the added weight. We're only going about 32 inches with the column, and we use 57s as our gravel base. We have found the stability of that. It doesn't hold water, so you won't have a freeze thaw issue. And typically you only need 6 inches. That even gets down to when we get into the segmental retaining wall systems like BZA, Versalock. They are not required to have a footer, and you're building retaining walls that can be engineered up to 50 feet. Now there's other engineering aspects that go into that, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, this meets manufacturer specs, which is, a gravel base is perfectly acceptable. And that's why we don't have to have that, because it does spread out. The column will be about 20 inches by 20 inches. And it doesn't mean that you couldn't see something underground or along those lines that could cause a shifting or moving. But the difference with this material is I can either move the column back into place, or I can take it apart, restack it, and build back up. It's not a masonry unit. So we've really gotten away from a lot of the masonry stuff just because of that, again, that cracking mechanism. If it cracks, then we're avoiding having, issues down the road, for any homeowner that might live in that home. I listened extensively how you guys talked about the concrete. I can tell you, as a contractor of over 20 years here in Columbus, I don't pour concrete. I don't do stamp concrete. It cracks. It's that simple.
Yep. It's almost guaranteed.
Yeah. And I do dry laid because I can lift, stack. If we live south of Cincinnati and into northern Kentucky, it's a totally different climate. It's amazing how you can drive an hour one direction. You can drive up to Marion and it's 10 degrees colder because now we're in the snow belt. So
I'm very familiar with both the block and the Overland. You made a comment you're going to use number 5P. Are you using that in conjunction with pulverized limestone to make it water resistant and structural integrity, or are you going to use just the number 5?
We use number 57 angular.
Oh, 57. Okay, I'm sorry.
We use 57 angular because sitting in a stable state, that gravel is 90% compacted. And the minute we screed it, compact it, it's like concrete, but it's completely pervious, so water will not sit in it. Our setting base is a number 9 limestone. I no longer build with sand because sand will hold moisture and water, and we eliminate that side of it. So everything underneath these patios, with a lot of us contractors are doing, have gone to the number 9 setting base. That's what the paver or stone sits on. Then the number 57, and then you have your sub base underneath there. And I build all winter long. We have projects that we will build throughout the winter. I use concrete blankets. I've got my crews that I have are, it's a little slower, but I can't put them back out on the job market. It's too hard. It's the fine guys. So we find projects and we build through. We had a project that was on Fox 28 that we built through. We started in December of 2019 down in Worthington, and we finished it up in the end of February of 2020. We built it all winter long. It was 13 or 1,400 square feet of pavers, grill, pavilion, fireplace. It was over in Worthington. So we have a process for building on all aspects when we're getting into these various projects.
Now, your customers should be happy to use not only 57, but the combination with the limestone to help prevent weeds and so on from growing back up to.
We're always going to have weeds. I've been doing this too long, and you just drive along the freeway, you see plenty of weeds between there. You know, we do the polymeric sand. I mean, everything, and we do a pitching on these patios. You'll find whether it's through ICPI or any of the manufacturers, they want about 2 inches of slope over 10. We find about 1.5 inches is acceptable. You have positive drainage for these, and we don't typically see issues. But I mean, knock on wood, I mean, but for the most part, stuff doesn't move, and you know, with what we're planning for this here, everything's going to be, you know, except for the seating walls and the grill areas. I advise both homeowners. I said, we'll probably go the avenue of we probably would need to go the avenue of like what Oberfield's has. It looks like a natural stone, but it's a concrete product.
Right.
And that saves on, because you've got a 30-pound block over a cinder block that weighs nothing. And then that's when you got to put those footers in. So I just had a project I wrapped up in Muirfield that we have a pattern cut flagstone like we've presented here, with the seat wall and a couple columns that have that. And well, I've handed out a few business cards over there in Muirfield for some more work. They were it got approved through, and no issues, other than they did make them put some more landscaping in. They weren't counting on that, but that's Muirfield. So
I like what you're doing here. I do have 2 concerns. One of them, the 19 feet is a large variance request.
Sorry.
And the other part is this going to be fenced? I mean, with you having it adjoining an open area, that's just an invitation. It's just a question.
The reason why is the house itself is built pretty much right to the 35-foot setback. So if you look at that, you look at the 35-foot rear yard setback. I mean, they built this home right to the back of it. I mean, and it's a corner lot. They don't have anybody on their south side. They don't have anybody on the west side, and they have one neighbor to the north. So when we started this project, one of the first things I always have as a professional, what I ask for is this survey plot. And when I saw the survey plot, I then contacted Jeff over at Orange Township, and I asked for further information before I even put pen to paper. And I made them aware of what our process will be to move forward with this project. We came up with the plan. Part of this is because of that setback is the fireplace. The fireplace itself is going to finish out width-wise when you look at these, and I provided details, and like Ground Grove provided us roughly about what that, through Google SketchUp, what the dimensions are. It's about 30 inches deep, okay? So when you count in the pavilion, how it pushes you out, and the fireplace, that's what ooches you out in, to that 19 feet. But it really allows them that space over there as they come out the side there to go into kind of a sitting area, chill, hang out. This is a very, very common, we do a lot of these designs like this where we're seeing whether it's a pergola or a pavilion like this here. This just provides added room for the whole project. It's very, very, very common right now, especially in the day and age we have too. I mean, we're going to see this over the next couple of years, a lot of staycations. So there's a heck of a staycation for them. So, but that's why we push out, is because of that. I mean, if the home were 5 or 6 feet, towards the road, it's a different animal, I think. But It's just the way this home was positioned on this lot with that 35-foot rear yard setback.
Yeah, and they're in a good position that there's nobody on either side of that, I think.
Agree.
So is there any other questions?
I have none.
I have
Okay,
none.
then I'm going to make a motion to approve VA-20-23.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Oster to approve variance case VA-20-23, second by Ms. Sundar. Those voting, Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Krebs,
Yes.
Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
And then with that, Michelle and Nicholas, well, I'll get you a response in the next couple of days about the decision and stuff and how to move forward. Our director brought up a couple concerns, not necessarily with the approval, but I know the concrete is already there. This goes for you too, Jacob. Just with that 30-foot easement, it'd probably be a good thing to reach out to Soil and Water. I can give you that contact that we have to discuss that, just to make sure, as sometimes the county building department would require something to get approval from the easement before they sign off on a permit. Sometimes they've done that, sometimes they have not. So
Most of what I've had is, and this is just more, I know a lot of, I've dealt with Delaware County Soil and Water, but it was more with, there was something with septic tanks and things and leach fields but yeah, we'll reach out to them. And I mean, kind of the whole process here was to start with having you guys approve the zoning side of it, and then just kind of go down through and seek, you know, this is a you guys approving this is really the first step in getting, you know, like the county itself's they're gonna basically say, did zoning approve it first? We
Getting the
suspect.
ball rolling.
Yeah, basically get that. And you know, I've got a similar project before I even started designing, I was working with Suzanne Dorsch over in Genoa Township, and it had a pretty big setback, but it was anything attaching to the house. And I just ask these questions ahead of time, get things approved through. It just saves you a lot of headache down the road. No, oh, by the ways, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't design a project, sign a contract. Right now we are literally just, this is the first step, get a plan approved. So that's what we had.
and then make sure you contact the HOA.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
I've spoken with one of the trustees on the HOA, and they think it looks good, but she can't make a decision. So there's other trustees on the HOA. So just make sure that the HOA is there too.
I had a question for Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Patio to patio, if you're just comparing flat patios,
Yes, sir.
how does the pricing compare with this type of stone versus concrete slab?
It all depends on how they build it. I mean, there's a lot of cheap concrete. I have ripped out more concrete and stamped concrete, and I got started when I got out of school in the mid 90s, and stamped concrete was popular, and flat concrete and exposed aggregate. But if you don't put rebar meshing and if you do not have besides the listening to the other one if they don't put any base underneath it. I mean, they'll dig a hole, they'll put a low, like an inch or two of gravel down, and then they'll throw the concrete right on top of it.
Yeah.
If you do not have a sub base underneath that, you have a surface that has no flexibility, has no movement, it's rigid, and it's going to crack. And it is a matter of time, but really there needs to be, when somebody brings in for concrete, at a minimum, there should be 4 inches of gravel underneath that, 57, 204, 304, whatever floats your boat, whatever gravel you like, but you need to have a base underneath it. And that will help with whether or not it heaves, moves, and cracks. But that is a corner that is cut by the concrete guys. So, and I
Yeah,
watched a lot.
I was just kind of wondering how it would
they did it
normally
the right
compare.
way- if they did it the right way, it would be more expensive than doing a paver patio if they did it the right way.
Okay.
If they don't, they'll undercut somebody who's going to put in a proper base to make sure. I mean, what you see on the top is the pretty part, the paver, the stone, whatever it is.
Right.
What's underneath there? And in my background of landscape design, and I've got a staff member who teaches down at OSU and who has a construction management, an art master's in architecture and a master's in landscape architecture. And we look at these all come into play, but there's a lot of guys out here that this is, we don't need to do that. They worked on a crew and they're a landscaper. So, but we just have a different way of approaching this. But I would love to see some more guidance from the townships and things, and making sure that when somebody brings a concrete patio in, that you're looking at it from the standpoint of, because it's a much more permanent structure. So, but it needs to be built much better than it is. So I just don't know if you guys can enforce that. That's more of a, I don't know if that gets into building standard side, but it definitely would be, it'd make a lot of people happy. I mean, that's
some of the things are more of suggestions at times based on experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's why I've never gotten into it. It's to do it the way it needs to be done, and then to cut the seams and to do everything. It will be more expensive than it will be to do a concrete paver. And a concrete paver, honestly, with these new ones that we have out, the natural stone that we're looking at, it's an Indian stone. It's from World of Stone, is one of the brands. It pressure tests out at about 22,000 pounds per square inch.
Ouch.
Unreinforced concrete will pressure test out at between 4,500 and 5,500. I have a stone testing at 22,000.
Wow.
Now that doesn't mean it won't break, but that's how dense that material is and the durability of it, for the life of it, of how it's going to do. And even these newer face mix concrete pavers, they're 14, 16, 17, 18,000 pounds per square inch. Just a much better material that when somebody invests in these projects, they know it's going to last.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Do you get free estimates?
Do.
That sounds like a pretty good way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, because the concrete just, it's always moving and cracking. And
Okay, Mr. Chairman, on the minutes.
on the minutes, did you study them up?
Yes, I did.
You're a good man.
A couple of things. They're minor. On page 1 of 6, for the 17th, rear yard normally is not hyphenated.
Would say that line number again.
Line 10.
Okay.
12451 Estates Oak, Glen Oak.
Estates.
Rear yard is not hyphenated.
Yeah, that's true.
On line 42 and 43 of that same page, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but emailing hyphenated.
That's not normally.
Right. It can go either way.
And for that fact, we could let both of those go. I mean, you could hyphenate. That's, yeah. But yeah, I agree. Normally, you're not going to.
Right. On line 75, again, rear yards hyphenated.
Right.
On line 96 of the same page, behind us have a very large, I would think that the word yard would go in there after large. Because it doesn't make sense behind us have a very large as they are in the back of the cul-de-sac. Call me nitpicky. That's all I found.
Yeah, something's missing there as far as, a very large yard or,
Well, that's why I suggested the word yard be added in there, because very large by itself doesn't make sense.
yeah, but it might not have been a yard. It might have been a patio or, I can't remember what in the heck might have been in there.
Well, okay.
And
it
I
was-
remember this one having a lot of landscape around it.
And I
this-
think where they point out that, like you talk about a backyard and they say by comparison, the neighbors behind us have a very large, it has to be what goes in there.
A very large yard. Yeah, I couldn't remember if they had a pool back there or, a patio back there or anything, but yeah.
Okay. Again, I'm not trying to nitpick, but I did read them, believe it or not.
You did.
But you did, yeah.
You didn't do anything with the hyphenated cul-de-sac?
Oh, sorry. I missed that one.
I sent one in to Jeff. It's CU 20116-917, page 12 of 16,
Uh-oh.
line 607. Judgment and say okay or no okay. I think it means not okay.
No law, make a judgment and say, okay.
See it?
Yeah.
That's two things I missed.
That's why we have more of us.
And if you're gonna fix those small things there, Jeff, on page, back to where we were at before, but on page 5 of 6, line 210.
Line 210?
Yeah, there should be a way. I circled it, but then I thought, but there should be something in there between where it says there are also rules you have probably to comply with for that also.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Please don't fire me. That's three things I missed.
Well, and on
A little
page 12,
disappointed.
page 12 of 16, also on line 583, I don't know if there's supposed to be a semicolon in there after no.
Well, there is
Just a comma.
there is no line.
583.
583. I don't mind. Let's take-
583 on page 12 of 16.
Yep.
Okay.
No, we're not allowed to do that.
Well, even if you wanted to put a comma in there, I didn't know because I looked at it. I thought, is that something on my screen or? But no, I think it's a semi.
It is a semicolon on the print.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all of them I had.
I had a couple and they're just the last names were spelled wrong on that last application. So
Oh,
Susan Ritchie is Ritchie, and then it's Bob Keith, Keith.
Did you get any calls on the church getting approved from any kind of testy people or anything?
We had some that were concerned about it, but
After the fact?
yeah, we had some discussion about it, but
Gentlemen and young ladies, I have a sweet woman that is waiting on me.
Nice.
Do we have
What are
any
you
other,
doing on here then?
do we have any
Okay.
other corrections? Do we have any other corrections on the minutes? We need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended.
Second.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Hold on, you got to
Hold
vote.
on, hold
Hold
on.
on, you got to vote.
We're
Yeah.
not done yet.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Barry's trying to rush us.
If you leave now, you don't get paid.
All right. Got a motion made by Mr. Oster to approve the minutes as amended. Second by Mr. Trevs. Mr. Oster,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Trevs,
Yes.
Ms. Sundar.
Yes.
Okay, then the last item that we have is the calendar for
For
20.
next year.
Uh-huh.
We did have one change that was brought up was the due date for the December 9th hearing. We're looking at changing that to November 12th. It'll be a Friday because November 11th is Veterans Day, so we don't have a meeting, so that got pushed back a week. So it only gives us 3 weeks to try to get the legal notice and everything done.
All right, the December 9th is being what?
The submission for that hearing would be November 12th instead of the 18th.
Oh, gotcha.
Doesn't necessarily affect you guys, but
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thanks all.
When are they going to do elections for, chairman and vice chair and all that again?
that's the first meeting in the new year.
January?
Yeah, it'll be January.
Okay.
Um,
I thought it was the very first month, but I couldn't remember.
Yep. Good night all.
Okay.
Night.